The moment they tore her shirt to mock her, they had no idea they just exposed a code only 3 people in the room could read, and one of them was a 2-star general. It happened in a dusty forward operating base gym in Kandahar, where the air tasted like sweat and diesel fuel, and respect was supposed to be earned with reps and scars. Sergeant Maya Reyes had been counting her pull-ups in silence when the laughter started behind her. She didn't turn around. She'd learned long ago that ignoring them was easier than educating them. But then came the hands, rough, entitled, tugging at the back of her tank top. "Let's see what the SEAL girl's hiding under there," one of them said, voice dripping with mockery. The fabric ripped, and everything stopped. "Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love knowing who's part of this story." Maya's back was bare now, exposed under the flickering fluorescent lights. But it wasn't her skin they saw. It was ink black as gunpowder, precise as a sniper's breath. A series of numbers and symbols ran down her spine in a vertical line, flanked by 2 phrases in Latin that most people wouldn't recognize. But this wasn't ink for most people. The gym had gone silent. One of the guys who'd been laughing, a staff sergeant with a bull neck and too much ego, squinted at the tattoo and muttered, "What the hell is that supposed to be?" But someone else knew. At the far end of the room, near the free weights, a man in his late 50s with silver stubble and shoulders like an old oak tree slowly straightened. His name was General Marcus Hale. He wasn't supposed to be there. He'd been passing through the base on an unannounced inspection, had wandered into the gym to clear his head. And now he stood frozen, staring at Maya's back like he'd just seen a ghost in uniform, because he had. The tattoo wasn't decoration. It was a kill code. A mission identifier used only by a single unit, one that didn't officially exist. A unit so classified that even most Special Forces operators didn't know its name. And the symbols on her spine, they were confirmation markers, targets eliminated, operations completed, lives saved in the dark where no one would ever say thank you. Hale's jaw tightened. His hands, weathered from decades of service, curled into fists at his sides. "Step back," he said. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the room like a blade through glass. The staff sergeant turned, annoyed. "Sir, we were Justin. I said step back." This time it wasn't a request. The guys scattered like roaches under a light. Maya still hadn't turned around. She stood there, breathing slowly, her fingers gripping the pull-up bar so hard her knuckles had gone white. She didn't need to see who had spoken. She knew that voice. She'd heard it once before, 3 years ago, in a bunker in Syria after a raid that was never supposed to happen. Hale walked toward her, boots heavy on the rubber floor. When he reached her, he didn't touch her. He didn't apologize for the others. He just stood at attention and did something that made every person in that gym hold their breath. He saluted her. Not the casual salute of a superior to a subordinate, not the tired gesture of routine. This was the kind of salute you give to someone who carried a burden no one else could see. The kind you give to someone who'd done things you couldn't talk about, in places you couldn't name, for reasons that would never make the news. Maya finally let go of the bar. She turned, eyes red but dry, and returned the salute. "At ease, Sergeant," Hale said softly. She didn't move. "I said at ease." Her shoulders dropped just a little. Hale looked past her toward the men still lingering near the benches, pretending not to stare. His voice became iron again. "That woman," he said, pointing at Maya without breaking eye contact with them, "has more confirmed kills than everyone in this room combined. She's extracted hostages from compounds you'll never hear about. She's held the line when grown men twice her size broke and ran. And she's done it without asking for recognition, without needing your approval, and sure as hell without needing your respect." He paused, letting the weight settle. "But she's earned mine." The staff sergeant looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. One of the younger guys mumbled something that might have been an apology. But Maya didn't care about apologies. She'd stopped expecting them years ago. What she hadn't expected was this. Hale stepped closer, voice low enough that only she could hear. "I read the after-action on Operation Phantom Gray. I know what you did in that compound. I know you stayed behind when your team extracted. I know you held that doorway for 11 minutes while they got the asset out." Maya's throat tightened. She didn't trust herself to speak. "I also know," Hale continued, "that the brass tried to bury your citation because they didn't want to explain how a woman got into that unit in the first place. So I'm saying it now off the record where it counts." He met her eyes. "Thank you for your service, Sergeant Reyes, and I'm sorry it took this long for someone to say it." Something cracked inside her, not broken, released. Like a knot she'd been carrying for years finally loosened. She nodded once, sharp and controlled, the way soldiers do when words won't come. Hale stepped back, turned toward the rest of the gym, and raised his voice again. "If any of you have a problem with Sergeant Reyes, you bring it to me. And I promise you that conversation won't go the way you think." No one said a word. He walked out, leaving the room in stunned silence. Maya stood there for a moment, feeling the eyes on her back not with mockery now but something else. Something like awe, something like fear, something like respect they should have given from the start. She grabbed her torn shirt from the floor, pulled on her jacket and walked out without looking back. 2 weeks later, Maya received orders. She was being reassigned, not demoted, not sidelined, but promoted to a training command, where she'd be teaching the next generation of operators, where her voice, her experience, and her scars would finally be given the platform they deserved. The general had made one more call after that day in the gym. A call that started with, "I don't care what the policy says, I care what's right." And sometimes that's all it takes. One person, one moment, one decision to see someone not for what they look like, but for what they've done in the dark when no one was watching. Because courage doesn't need an audience, it just needs to be seen by the right person at the right time. And sometimes, the ink we carry tells a story louder than the words we'll never say. If this story moved you, share it. If you know someone who's fought battles no one will ever know about, send this to them. And if you believe that respect should be earned by deeds, not assumptions, then hit that subscribe button and join a community that believes the same. Drop a comment below, tell me about a time someone finally saw you for who you really were. I read every single one. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, the most powerful stories are the ones we almost never hear.